What is up, fishing world? Trevor Wagner coming back at you again. In today's episode, I want to talk about what I do not love or like about forward-facing sonar. You know, for my last video, I talked about the things that I do like about forward-facing sonar. In this one, the focus is on what are those things that I just do not like about forward-facing sonar. All right, and just like the last one, I got 5 things that I do not like about forward-facing sonar. The first one is dialing in the settings. So I'm talking about the color, the gain, the depth, the range. It really took me some time to get it figured out to what I needed it to be. I found side scan a little bit easier to gain, like how far out I wanted to go from the kayak, what color I needed to use in the kayak to really see the rock piles and the structures outside with side scan. Well, forward-facing sonar was a little bit trickier. It took me a little bit more time to get that dialed in, especially when you're talking about how the depths that you wanted to go down and the range, how far out you wanted to see, to really gauge the size of fish that you're looking at, to get a good reference point. That really took some time. And it's kind of frustrating at first when you're getting it to try to get it set up. So I did what most people do. I relied on YouTube to help me out. I went out and watched a couple Bass Geek videos because he's like an electronics genius when it comes to it. So he kind of talked about what to do with your gain, what to do with your color, and what you should do to kind of gauge the size of the fish and how you should set it up for your own personal stuff. So I did that, and it took a couple months for me to get the color dialed in, the gain that I want, and then the range and depth that I wanted as well. It just took some time. It was frustrating at first. You're like, oh man, look at the size of this fish, or man, these fish are all little, because I didn't have my settings right, or I couldn't even see the fish. So really messing with that and getting that dialed in really took some time. That was really frustrating. Really one of those things I don't like. I wish it was a little bit easier that was out there. And speaking of that, number 2 was deciphering what type of fish am I looking at on my fish finder. So when you get it and you got your forward-facing sonar and you're seeing these little blobs all swimming around, well, some look a little different than others. Some are more round, some are more oblong, some are like these little streaks. So it really took me some time to really try to dial in, like, okay, those are really small. Those have got to be, white bass or crappie or something along those lines, because they're really grouped up together. Bass and catfish and carp and gar and all these fish that we have around here. Some of them look really, really similar, but they have different patterns where they're going. And it is truly frustrating trying to figure out. You're spending all this time on one fish and you're like, oh yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. It's a catfish or it's a carp. And the forward-facing sonar technology doesn't differentiate and doesn't say like, hey, this is a bass swimming here. Throw at me. It's not a crystal clear picture, guys. It's just like a little heat signatures that are out there. So again, that is frustrating, is trying to learn those different types of fish, because yes, it's great technology. You can see them swimming out in front of you wherever you have that sonar pointed, but you don't know what they are. You're assuming after time you can kind of get a gauge of how they're swimming and what they're doing, where you might have a good idea what they are. Every once in a while, you still get tricked. All right, going into that, getting tricked and not knowing stuff, and that leads me to number 3. And number 3 for me is all these followers and no takers. That's right. This forward-facing sonar lets you see all these fish, and you get to cast your bait out there. And like I talked in my last video, I can get it right in that strike zone, keeping it in the strike zone as it's coming across. Watching all these fish or a couple fish come up, checking out my bait, and swimming off. Or I was sitting there jiggling stuff, having to sit there. They come up and look, and then they go away. That kills me with forward-facing sonar. So it's awesome. You can see how they're reacting to your bait, but it's also very, very frustrating to watch them swim away. And you don't know if it's the size, the color. So then you try different things and doing stuff, which leads me into problem number 4, spending too much time on one fish or one spot. I kind of equate it to bed fishing. So when you're out there bed fishing, you see that fish on the bed and you're sitting there casting to it a dozen, 50, 60 times, trying to get it to be mad enough to eat your bait, to pull it off of the bed to get it. Forward-facing sonar has kind of done that to me. I see some fish out there, I've got some followers, and then I just spend an hour, hour and a half trying to reaching behind me, grabbing all my rods, throwing everything I can to try to get one or two fish to bite. And then when they finally do, they're really not that big, or maybe they are big, but I just wasted all this time on a few fish where I could have went and found some more fired up fish in that aspect. So those four things really frustrate me, and we'll talk about number 5 in a minute. But those four things, getting the settings dialed in to what they need to be, that learning curve, trying to decipher what fish species there is, all the followers, no takers, and then staying in one spot for way too long using that technology. Those things really, really frustrate me. But overall, number 5, this has got to stop. Number 5 for me that I really hate about forward-facing sonar and the forward-facing sonar technology is all the hate that anglers have. And I'm not talking about just the anglers that hate on people that use forward-facing sonar, calling it the cheater box, calling all these other things, and you just have it and you can instantly become a pro. It goes the other way too. Those of us that use forward-facing sonar, throwing hate and shade at those people that are, wanting to do it old school or doing it their way. I've said many, many times in all of my videos, fishing is about having fun, getting out there and experiencing the outdoors, trying to trick a fish with a brain the size of your pea to eat something that's not real and get it in the boat, and that thrill of that fight and that chase that you have. I love that. And that's what everybody should love about fishing. Now, just because certain people use certain technology, there shouldn't be hate on them. Just like there shouldn't be hate from those people that use the technology to people that don't use the technology. Like I said, you do you. It's just like what knot you tie. Everybody has a different opinion on what knots you tie. But you don't see hate going across between each other about the knots that they tie. Okay? There shouldn't be this hate about the electronics game that's out there that we see. Really needs to stop. We really need to be better than that. Our community is really, really awesome. We're a really tight-knit community. We're a small community. We should be fighting about this stuff. All right, guys. Those are my 5 things that I just don't like about forward-facing sonar. So comment down below. What are the things that you don't like about forward-facing sonar? What are those things that maybe frustrate you about forward-facing sonar? Or if you're one of those that have hate towards forward-facing sonar, let me know down below. If you love forward-facing sonar, let me know down below. Let's just comment. Let's get this conversation going, because just like with anything, it's a conversation, guys. It's something we talk about. And until regulations come down from a government officials and stuff like that, electronics are only going to get better and better. They have over the time. So again, guys, get out and fish however you love to fish. If you like to use technology to fish, do it. If you don't like to use technology and you just like to go out there and use your instincts, I love to do that as well. I don't always turn on my electronics. I like to go out there and just fish sometimes, just to know that, those old school methods still work. That brush pile over there you see, or that stump sticking out, it's going to hold fish, okay? It still does. Technology just has enhanced my ability with using baits. And I have other hates on forward-facing sonar and whether or not you want to use it in tournaments, if pros should use it. I'm not talking about any of that. Let's just end the hate of forward-facing sonar and just fish the way you want to fish. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you can, get out and fish. Catch some bass. All right, guys, until next time, have a great day.